Sunflower Embossing Folder makes the most gorgeous cards. Look at that. Now I've got other samples that I'm going to be showing you to the end, so make sure you stick around because they're going to be great to see too. But the folder is not staying in stock a lot because people keep buying it because you cannot make something bad with it. So we're going to make something that looks like this today. I'm going to go ahead and put that down there. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to make the emboss the card. So I have a piece of cardstock here that is just 1/4 inch smaller than a regular cardstock. So it's 4 by 5 1/4 instead of what a regular card front would be, which would generally be 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So here's the actual embossing folder. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can see that. So there's several huge, very large sunflowers. It is obviously much bigger than you need to run through here, which means that you can put it up here, you can put it down here, you can choose what you want to highlight. If you want to highlight that, you put that here. You can put it in the middle if you want. I actually prefer if it's usually like on a corner or something. I think it just looks prettier if it's not exactly in the middle. But this is a great folder and you cannot, as I said, make a bad card with it. So what we're going to do is to take it and to place our piece of paper. I got a thumbprint on there. So I'm just going to turn it over for a second. And I want to highlight this one. So I'm going to put that kind of on the lower left. Get your paper kind of straight. It's not all that important for this folder. It's more important for other folders like the plaid folder. And then for 3D embossing folders, all you need is a plate number 1 and a plate number 4. Now, as I always say, you don't have to remember that. You don't even have to be able to read because it just shows you what you need for each of the sandwiches. So let's go ahead and put the folder 1 down, then our sunflower embossing folder with a piece of paper, and then flower 4, and just run it through for just a second. And that's all there is to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the machine down. We don't need that. So what I want to do is I want to show you that everything that you make has an emboss side and a deboss side. So this is the emboss side. It's the side where when you put it through, the Stampin' Up logo is on top, and that's the emboss side that comes up. That just means that the sunflower or all the things that are embossed on here are raised up. The other side, the debossed, they are sunk in and the plain areas stay as usual. So there's different things. You can use both of them. I'm going to show you samples with both of them. So stick around because I have all sorts of samples to show you that use different techniques but do the same thing here. So today, what we're going to be doing is making something like this. The first thing we want to do is to pull out our inks. And I'm using here the mini Stampin Blending Brushes. So this, can't seem to get it to stay there. This one is for the green. This is Old Olive. This one here is for the Early Espresso Brown. This one is for Cajun Craze, which is the reddish one. And this one here is for the Crushed Curry, right over there. So what we are going to do here to make this kind of a look is to use the emboss side, is to use the deboss side. Sorry, we're going to turn it over and use the deboss side. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my Early Espresso, and I want this to be the background. You can see how that's the background. What I'm going to do is just ink up my brush really well. And I'm just going to lightly use my brush around the whole thing like this. First, we start off light. We may get a little bit darker. We'll see how it goes. I actually like it when it shows in the cracks and crannies as well. So I go over the whole thing. And it doesn't bother me if it goes in some of the flowers because it's going to let you see those cracks and crannies a little bit better. Also, we're going to go on top of it with a different color, and it's going to hide a lot of that. Okay, so now what we want is we want the plain areas to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to go back over those plain areas like here and here where the flower isn't actually showing. You see how I got that dark? It's just by putting this on top and just by going over them. You don't want to press too hard because you definitely don't want it to go places that you don't want it to be. So you want to make it so it's nice and soft and even. There actually, where I put this one, there don't appear to be that many dark spots. I think this is a good spot for the background. And then I'll just put it a little bit more, there we go, to make it a little bit darker. That's a dark spot. And the rest of it is just going to be the flowers. So let's just make sure we have a little bit all over. Good, this one doesn't look like there's any dark background spots, I should say. So that's all there is with the dark. Now what we're gonna do next is to take the crushed curry here and just go on top of the flowers. And you'll see what I mean. The flowers are going to look yellow, but they're going to look like they have brown details, I guess. But even here, where there was a little bit too much brown on the edges, when you go over it with the yellow, it looks yellow. It looks crushed curry. It just has a little bit deeper look to it than the others. So we're gonna just go ahead and get all of the crushed curry places. And you're doing this kind of lightly. You don't wanna go into areas you don't mean it to be. So we're doing this kind of lightly and just brushing around. Now I'm going to take this and do it again. Here's another flower that we want to have all yellow, or we want to have yellow on. Here's another part of the sunflower right here. So we can color that like that. Beautiful. Let me turn it this way. Here's a flower. Look at this one. This one's over here in the corner. It's shooting up in a different direction. So just keep turning your paper around so you know what you're looking at, right? And you just want to keep coloring it. I'm doing it fairly lightly, as I said, because you don't want it to go into the area that goes down. You just want it to go onto the debossed area. And that looks great. And now there's one over here. And let's get this all nice and yellow here. There we go. That's a little bit darker, but that's okay. Flowers have variation in real life, right? So it's okay if some are a little lighter and some a little darker. Those are leaves there. We'll be going over with the green, with the old olive. And I'm just gonna fill in these here. This is more flowers. Some of it you could do as leaves, you could do as flowers, you could sort of, some of it is not as obvious as others. So you could do it any way you want. I actually think that I wanna put a little bit of the early espresso right there. I think that's an area that should have it. And this up here should still have just a little bit more. I want it to be nice and solid. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take the old olive brush, and you can see I don't have a different brush for every different color, but what I have is for color family. So this one I use for browns and for grains, and the one for yellow I use with yellows and oranges, and the one for the Cajun craze I use with pinks and reds. So let me get some more on here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Get this right on here to get that more to stand out. Are there more leaves? Let's see. I think that's it for the leaves. There wasn't much leaves on this portion. There was more leaves over here. As I said, it just depends on where you place the paper. Now the Cajun craze I'm going to use for the interior of the flowers. There we go. You could use brown for it. I just didn't want to use brown. I wanted it to be a little bit more sunshiny. So I used the Cajun craze, which is a red, but it's a brownish red, and it goes very well with this. Now over here, I had used the yellow first, and then I got a little bit of the Cajun craze on it. So I'm just going back over it with the yellow, and it'll look, with the crushed curry, and it'll look yellow again. There we go. So that's all there is to making this. It's actually, I'm gonna make this a little bit more yellow, but it's actually very easy, and it just depends. You know, you can put in as much or as little time into it as you want. That's all there is to that. So now what we're going to do is I have a card base here, and this one here, I put it on a piece of white, and then I put it on a pecan pie. This today, I think I'm going to just put it onto a piece of white like that, and it's really going to pop. So what I like to do with these is to use some of our twine. And this one here, I put on the white twine. The reason I did that is because I thought that the twine color didn't stand out as much over here, but it actually stands out really well over here. So we might just use the regular twine color. So I'm just going to take some off and cut it off to whatever length I want it to be. Sometimes you can wait to cut it off, so you don't, and measure it first, but I'm not doing that. So what I'm going to do, it's a little bit curly. See how curly it is? Because it's on a round thing. So what I'm going to do here is to just take my scissors and my thumb and just run down, and it uncurls it very well. Oops, come on, there you go. Alrighty, now let me go ahead and put the scissors aside, and I'm going to clean up a little bit of the blending brushes and the inks, because I know I will get my hands on them if they're still out here. There we go. Okay, the one thing I wanted to make sure to tell you is that it's really important to make sure that you cut your paper to the right size before you go ahead and emboss it, because it just doesn't come out quite as evenly if you cut it after it's embossed. Now, this is my secret. I use regular tape to keep the things on the back. Let me get that off of there. So I've got a piece of twine here, and you can decide where you want the twine. I think I want the flower. Do I want it to be this way? It actually looks pretty that way. I haven't done any of them in that direction, so let's go ahead and do that. And so what I do here is I take my regular Scotch tape, my regular cellophane tape, and just tape it on the back. And then I can go ahead, you know what, because I'm doing it in this direction, it's not quite enough to make 3, but it is enough to go around twice. You can see here, let me go ahead and put the tape on so it stays. You can see here I went around 3 times. This time we'll just do twice because I switched the orientation and I didn't cut it for this orientation. Then you can go ahead and fiddle with these a little bit if you want, into any way you want. Now the next thing I want to do is to place this on top of the white. I want to place the card front, the card that we just made, that we just embossed, on top of the card front itself. And so what I'm going to do is to take some Stampin' Dimensionals and put them around along the back so it'll stay in nice and neat. And there we go. You can even put one right here in the middle to keep those down. And now I'm just going to go ahead and take the backings off, which will just take a second to get these backs off. And, you know, you don't have to worry too much about how much Stampin' Dimensionals you use. I said this all the time, but they're not even 2 cents each. So don't be concerned if you add an extra 1 or 2, or you think you could do with less, because really you would want it to stay well more than you want to save the extra 2 to 4 cents. Okay, if 2 cents, if you, less than 2 cents if you're using 1, and 3 to 4 cents if you're using 2 extras. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in the middle. And there's our card. Now all we need is a sentiment. Now I have a little box of tricks here, and I throw sentiments in here. I also throw little things I've cut, little things I have, and I throw them in here so that when I'm in a rush, I can go ahead and use that. Look at that. I wasn't even thinking of that, but maybe we'll use that on top of it too. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. And I just want to pull out here, wishing you all the best. These are from some of the punch outs that I've gotten before, from some of the paper pumpkins I've gotten before. They're just things that I keep in a box so that when I'm in a rush, I can go ahead and use them. Sometimes I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'm not very straight, so I'm going to use my trimmer. Sometimes I'll make even extra die cuts and just throw them in the box, so that I do that sometimes with things like Nature's Symphony, because those die cuts are so beautiful and work so well. And so, yeah, I think this is pretty. I'm wondering though, I don't want to cover up too much. Let's put it here and let's go ahead. I wasn't even planning on it, but sometimes the best things like that just happen. It's like I saw it And I thought, oh, that would look good. So I'm just gonna put some green, some liquid glue on, and then just place it here, I think. If there's an area that you've splotched and you want it covered up, just put it there. And then what I'm going to do is to put wishing you all the best on top. And I'm going to use the Stampin' Dimensionals again for that. So let me put one on this end and one on this end. There we go. And I'm just going to peel these up, the backing's off, and put this right here. Wishing you all the best. The only thing that's left is to add a little bit of bling. I am totally in love with these antique pearls. They're just so, so beautiful. So I'm going to put one of the big ones here. I don't know if you can see, but they've got a lot of shine. Hopefully you can see that. They've got a lot of shine and shimmer to them. And a medium one here. And a little one right here. I love it when you get both, when you get the large, medium, and small, because in one package, because then you can do that. That's all there is to the card. It's absolutely beautiful. You can absolutely do this in 5 minutes or less. And particularly if you already have some of the, this is not sticking, let me push that down a little more. Some sentiments cut out. If you have the new hot foil system, which I am totally in love with and can't stop using, I have set aside some of the sweetly sentimental wishes from there and sentiments from there. And there we go. That's all there is to it. So let me go ahead and show you some of my others. You've seen this one. This one came out a little bit darker than this one. They all come out differently. I had more blacks, more empty space, more space that was raised. So I was able to get more of the dark color in there. And then this one has a little bit different amounts of raised areas. So there's fewer of them. This one here, I use the emboss side. So you can see the difference, right? So this one I use the emboss side, and this one I use the deboss side. And so I didn't get it in this area here because that's debossed. So none of the ink went down there. So it depends. If you want to do it lighter, this is beautiful. And if you want to do it darker, this is also beautiful. On this one also, you may notice that I have a dark twine. What I did here is I just used our blends just to color them over. I just use a blend and fold it over, and it makes whatever color you want. I also used one of, I mentioned I keep die cuts from Nature Symphony. There's one of them. I just stuck on there with a thinking of you. And then I have another one here. Now this one is very different. This one, I did not use the early espresso at all. I just used blending brushes, and I went in different areas, and I didn't worry about getting it in specific places. I just brushed all along, and this is on the deboss side. So again, this is just something that you can I just did it in different areas wherever I felt it needed. And all three of them, I used these beautiful, beautiful antique pearls. And I used the twine. I used white twine on this one. I used the regular twine on these two, and I used the white twine that I colored with Stampin' Buns on the last one. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you make something like this. Drop a comment down below and let me know which one is your favorite. I'd be really curious to know. I'm not sure. I like this one. I like this one. I like them all. I can't choose. So let me know. And if you have a chance, please like and subscribe to like the video and subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying to grow my channel, and it really helps me a lot. So thanks a lot. Thanks for being here today, and I'll see you next week. Bye.